Good morning, everyone. Say good morning to me. Thank you. I am John G.R. Clark. I'm the 14th Vice President of Human Resources. Thank you. And I am not a character from Downton Abbey. It was specified as formal dress today. So welcome to the Fall 2014 opening day. First, I would like to introduce our special guests, the folks who make it all happen, the one and only Board of Trustees. We have President Terry Violet. We have next on the lineup, Vice President Norma Hernandez. We have batting cleanup, Trustee Humberto Peraza. And last but not least, we have Trustee Nora Vargas. And before we move into the formal part of the program that's listed in your program, I would like to invite ASO President and Student Trustee, Sayaka Ridley, to come up to the podium. I think she has a little message related to you.
Hi, good morning everybody. My name is Sayaka Ridley and I'm the new ASO President. I want to say welcome and I'm going to explain these buttons. The ASO worked with Kathy Tyner and Lillian to make these buttons. We have around 1,500 and the purpose of them is to remind us that we're all united for one purpose, that we are here for the students. And student success is our priority. So let's have a great next year. Let's all work together for that. Thank you everybody.
Thank you, Sayaka. So without further ado, I would like to introduce our esteemed college president, Dr. Melinda Nash.
Thank you, John, and good morning, Southwestern. Beautiful day and a true pleasure to be here with you as we start our fall 2014 semester. And I am here to share with you State of the College Address. Let's see. Here we go. Today we're going to review a few of the most important items, basically where we're at with enrollment, what our student picture looks like, accomplishments over the last year, our student success initiatives, and our employee satisfaction surveys. Just a quick look at who are our students. You can see that our students are very young. Over a quarter of our students are 19 years of age or younger. Half of our students are younger than 30 years. The vast majority of our students are 24 or younger, so we have a very young, very traditional type of college population. And if you look at our student ethnicity, 50% of our students identify as Latino, 10% Filipino, 6% African American, 27% white, 3% Asian, and 2% American Indian. We are a Hispanic serving institution, very proud of that, and we have a very interesting gender mix. We have more female students than male students, and that's been on the increase, 55% women and 45% men. All of them are proud this year. I want to spend a little bit of time on where we're at in enrollment. We have here the primary semester enrollment for the last couple of years. You can see that we started with fall 12. We were at almost 19,000 head count. Spring was quite a bit less, 17,300. Fall of 2013, last fall, we were at 18,795. Spring, about 1,000 less, 17,500. And that's traditionally what we've done. Fall has generally been a higher head count than spring. But you can see the last bar, that's fall enrollment as of today. Our head count is down by 860 students. We're at 17,935 students. That's a 4% decrease as compared to this time last year. And it's important to stop and think about that because we know county-wide enrollments have been softening. Part of that is due to the fact that we've all been adding extra sections. And part of that is probably due to the fact that the economy is improving and we tend to be counter-cyclical. When there's a recession, our enrollments go up, and when there are good economic times, our enrollments tend to soften. However, that being said, we have a growth target this year. And so we all need to engage our students here and now and encourage them to take an extra class. The best way that we can increase enrollment is with the students that are already here. So I'm asking every one of you, faculty members in the classroom, counselors, librarians, classified professionals, managers, and confidentials, this next week is super important. I want you not only to wear your button, to identify to students that you're here to help them and answer questions, but also remind them that we have open sections and encourage them to look at that open section list and add a section. That's the best way to increase our enrollment this fall, because this is what our target is. If you look at the very last column, you can see that our target for full-time equivalent students is 15,428. You can see that's an increase from last year at 14,977.8. Now, we have made our enrollment target every year in these last 3 years. And I want to really congratulate everyone for making that happen because it was difficult. We had financial contractions, but we were there for our students and we got those classes filled. We had a really good year last year, and we had, actually, if you look in that second to last column, the actual FTS is about 300 over our target. So we'll move that 300 into this year, so we can start with 300 already, but we need to grow. And so again, please encourage students this next week to take an extra class. So let's talk about some of our recent accomplishments, and I want to start right here with what I think is just fabulous. We successfully, this spring and early summer, have hired 15 new tenure track faculty, and if you're in the audience, I want you to stand up. Thank you very much. We have 3 new faculty in English, 2 in math, 2 in counseling, and dental hygiene, accounting, paralegal, our learning assistant services, communication, biology, the library, and philosophy. We are really excited to welcome these new 15 faculty into Southwestern College. What else have we done? We've had a very busy year. We are pleased that some of the programs we had to cut for budget constraints, we've been able to bring them back, such as our EOPS Summer Readiness Program. We sent a team of faculty and management to a special, oops, did I get there? Oops, sorry, I'm ahead of myself. Let me go to the second bullet. We approved 18 associate degrees for transfer. If you're not sure what that is, well, you won't know. The ADTs are these new associate degrees for transfer that are articulated with the CSU, and we were behind last year. And we caught up in 1 year. We had 18 approved in 1 year. I want to thank all the faculty and the curriculum committee for doing that work. If you don't know what VRC stands for, I hope it will soon become part of your vocabulary. That is our Veterans Resource Center. We not only got it open, we got it staffed. We are a veteran-friendly campus, and thank you very much, Patty, for doing that. We've restored library hours. We're very pleased. We've also been able to restore tutoring hours. And folks, we are on track to achieve fiscal independence on January 1, which means that we will be cutting your paycheck, not the county. And so we have been working very closely with IT, Human Resources, Payroll, our Business and Fiscal Office, and we are on track. It's a big project. I want to thank everyone who's been working on that project. You're going to get paid by us starting in January. We also have implemented the Ellucian student module. This is really important. Our students need to have 21st century technology to be able to see their SEP, their student ed plan, and to be able to effectively move through our system. And so we're happy that that module is implemented and we're now rolling out the different components. Here we go. Thank you to everyone in Student Services. The enrollment priorities, which have been changed, they were all successfully implemented. Our students are now enrolling according to the new priority system. We were able to send a team of counselors, faculty, and we were also able to send one of our deans to a special learning community conference this summer. We know that learning communities is one of the most successful ways for our students to be able to succeed in achieving and completing their educational plan. So that team is going to be sharing with us best practices, and we're going to be working to implement those this year. I also want to acknowledge Patty Larkin. We had a financial aid audit. Patty, how many years since the last one? More than 30 years. So after a 30-year hiatus, we had a very thorough audit, and I want to congratulate Patty and her team because we came through with flying colors. Thank you. And believe it or not, we celebrated the 25th anniversary of our San Ysidro Higher Education Center this year. And our Otay Mesa Higher Education Center was named the Service Provider of the Year by the Otay Mesa Chamber of Commerce. There are other accomplishments in the Prop R area, major accomplishments. There are well over 100 of our staff members that have signed up to go on a tour of the new Fieldhouse classroom building this afternoon. We got... Oh, I want to go back. There we go. We have a picture of this in the upper left-hand corner. We're really pleased to be opening the building. If you haven't signed up for a tour, it's not too late. We want to see you down there this afternoon. The tours start at 1 p.m. It's an amazing building. We were able to bring it in on time despite major issues with water pouring out of our ground. But we were able to work with our team, our architects, our construction team, and we were able to bring that project in on time, and we were able to do it within our contingency budgets that were set up if we did have problems. And so it worked out very well, good planning, and we are welcoming our students and our athletes and our community to our field house, and we will be playing football at home this year, and we'll be having graduation at home next spring. In the center, lower part, you see an artist rendering of the new classroom building that is going to be built at our National City Higher Education Center. Those drawings are in the process now working through DSA. And you see, it might be a little bit hard to recognize, but over on the right-hand corner, that is a picture of a solar panel. Many of you have covered parking now. Congratulations to our Prop R team getting those solar panels. We have had over 500 visitors touring our field house during construction. We have had that building open. We have welcomed our staff and our community in to see what we're doing. We're very pleased that we had huge community outreach on this project, and that's the way we will continue with all of our other projects. I want you to know that the artificial turf on our fields will save us 1 million gallons of water a year. And the covered parking will generate over $600,000 of savings to our college every year. We will be saving that money, and that will be helping our students in our programs. I'd also like to recognize that we have been very thoughtful in trying to be sustainable in what we're doing. The field house, we budgeted for a LEED Silver certification, but we have qualified for LEED Gold. So our field house, first gold LEED building for the Southwestern Community College District. Congratulations. One of the things that we did is we hired a master architect. That architect is helping us design standards, including furniture, fixtures, and equipment, as well as building standards such as LEED certification. We will build no new building that is not at least a LEED silver building. We also have redesigned our corner lot, and I want to thank our governing board, 4 of them here this morning, for providing further direction to us last Wednesday night. We are on a roll now to complete phase 2. Phase 1, central plant, stadium, field house, and our National City project. Phase 2 is going to be the wellness center, the math, science, engineering building, and our performing arts center. So we have now got direction. We're going to be moving forward. You're going to see a lot of information coming, and faculty and staff, you're going to be involved in building user group committees. So get ready. We're going to be building on that corner lot finally after 53 years. Let's talk about our students. This is why we're here. I want to start with where our students are going. Our students, almost all of our students come and declare a transfer goal. And many of our students transfer, and many of them are going to our other public education sectors, CSU and UC institutions. You can see that after that big bump in CSU, because they took students in both fall and spring, that we've been on an uptick. In our 12-13 transfers, we had 603 students into the CSU system. You see a slight dip though. We were very concerned about our UC transfers because the tab with UC San Diego has gone away. They have a new U-Link program. We're working with UC San Diego to improve transfer for our students to that campus. And I really want to give a shout out to our counseling folks, particularly Norma Castras, who has been a champion of our students getting over here. You will recall that we spent a lot of time defining what we could do to help our students succeed, and we developed 3 initiatives. The first initiative was to assure that our students have those electronic tools and that they can have an electronic student educational plan. That was a broader goal and included several segments, and I am so pleased to say that we have a new online orientation. It is being rolled out. It is a vast improvement over our previous orientation. We have our courses linked into the schedule for registration now. We are rolling out those electronic student ed plans. We're piloting those. And we will be using those electronic student ed plans as data to help us determine what are the classes we need to be scheduling to assure our students can graduate on time. So that initiative is really well on its way and almost fully implemented. We had a second initiative, and that was to study our own data and to find out what we could do to improve students completing. Were there bottlenecks? Were there issues with the way we were scheduling classes? Were there programs that we needed to revise? We've looked at 5 years of data, and we've already started reacting by providing extra tutoring, office hours, incorporating internships into our curriculum, streamlining a lot of our curriculum, looking at our schedule so that we can resolve any conflicts that impede students from being able to get their classes. We've also amped up our library resources, which are now embedded online, and we continue to survey students to ask them what do they need. Folks, this initiative isn't anywhere near done. We are going to continually look at our data and what we can do to improve the pathways for our students to succeed. So this will continue. We also are implementing a first-year experience. We started small. We started with a math boot camp this summer, and we wanted to see if we could bring students in for a very short, intensive math review, and if it would improve where they placed. We had 24 students that came in 2 sets, and of those 14, 58% after just a couple weeks, were able to test 1 or 2 levels higher than when they started. So we know this works. We need to roll it out and get more students in. I want to show you a couple of areas where we need to be commended because we're improving. Our students that come to us that are not college prepared, In 2012-13, 36.9 of them were able to complete after 6 years. But the cohort for 2013-14, we can see that that's gone up to 37.8%, so that's good. We're seeing that our students coming to us that are not college prepared, we're getting more of them through completion. We need to continue and increase that number. 30 units prepared. 30 units completed is a milestone. We know that once students complete 30 units, they're much more likely to complete that degree or transfer. So we are seeing from a 67.9, 30 units completed, we're seeing more students, 69.4 have completed. I want you to look at the bottom. Remedial math to college math. These are students that enter, they don't test into college math, but they move through remedial math and are able to complete their college math. We've gone from 19.2% to 24.7%. That's a significant improvement. We need to move more, but I really want to commend everyone in this room. These are significant improvements in the metrics that measure our students' success. Now I want to talk about where we're going and where the state's going. You recall that we had a stretch goal. We said we want more of our students to complete. We wanted to get to 58% completion in 2015. Ladies and gentlemen, we're at 43.5%. I want you to look at the first column, and if you look at the gold, the yellow portion, 43.5%, that's Southwestern. If you look at the burgundy, 48.1%, that's the state average, okay? So we know that we can do better. We want to be not just at the state average, we want to be one of the very best institutions in the state of California. So we've got some work, we need to catch up. We have those stretch goals. Well, guess what? Less than 2 weeks ago, Chancellor Bryce Harris, the chancellor of our state system, said the state needs to do better. And he has now launched state completion goals. He says the state is not satisfied at 48.1%. And he is launching a 10-year plan to move completion rates up by 2025 to almost 63%. Look at the last column. Do you see the 62.8? That's the goal. That as a state, by 2025, all students, regardless if they enter our system prepared or not, that we will have 63% of them completing their college goal. Ladies and gentlemen, we need to catch up. If the system moves from 48% to 63%, they're moving at 2.5% increase per year. If we moved at 2.5% increase per year, at the end, at 2025, you can look at the number in the gold, we would be at 57%. We don't want the state to be shooting for 63% and we're shooting for 57%. We need to catch up because if we only move at a 2.5% change increase, we won't get as far as 63%, and in fact, the gap will start to widen. So what do we need to do to catch up? We need to move at 3.5% increase per year. And that means in terms of percentage points, that we need to have a minimum of a 1.5 percentage point increase sustained each year. So we don't want to move from 43.5 to 44.6. We want to move from 43.5 to 45% next year. Is it attainable? Can we do it? Yes, we can. Do you know how many more students need to complete? 52. If we can maintain all of our completers plus 52 new completions, we can make 45% next year. We can do that. That's why those 3 initiatives are so important. That's why it's so important that you encourage students next week to take an extra section. And that's why it's so important that you don't just wear this button, you live this button, and you're here for our students to help them reach that goal because we want our students to complete and we want to get to the 63%. We're not going to be satisfied to remain at 43% or even 57%. I'm going to be working with institutional research and we're going to send out to you next week scenarios to show you these metrics and what we need to do over the next 10 years. I'm really excited because I know the resources are all here. We have the faculty, We have the counselors, the librarians, the classified professionals, and the dedicated managers that can all work together to help our students achieve. So folks, this is our purpose, this is our mission, and we're going to really be focused on this, laser focus to help our students achieve in the numbers that they need to. Oops. Lastly, I'd like to close with our employee satisfaction. We had 2 surveys this spring. One was the Campus Climate Survey. It was the 5th time, the 5th instance we ran that survey. And then we ran for the first time the Noel Levitz Employee Satisfaction Survey. We want to move into the Noel Levitz because it's a national benchmark survey, and so we can compare ourselves with other institutions, and because the Noel Levitz has a gap analysis. And that was really important because we've been concerned with campus climate, and we really want to improve campus climate. We want there to be a real sense of teamwork, cooperation, and a united front on student success. And so we noticed in that Noel Levitz survey that we had some significant areas of gaps between what we valued, but how satisfied we were with that particular goal. So for example, teamwork and cooperation, highly valued, but the survey indicated there's a gap. SDC, the Shared Consultation Council, takes this very seriously. They met in a retreat yesterday, and they've already started to work on goals and strategies to close that gap. Where did we see other gaps? We saw a gap in creating an environment of trust and respect. We need to work on that because we're all valued members of the team. We also saw a gap in sufficient budgetary resources, so we'll be working on that as well. I didn't have a bullet here to discuss today the budget, and you're probably wondering where's that. Normally I talk about the budget. The reason I don't have that is because I want to roll out a major budget information memo to you next week, and I'm working with Vice President Steve Crow on that. We haven't quite closed the books. We're almost closed the books on last year. We're looking good. Looks like we're going to come in with a balance for last year. That'd be very good if we can close that and not have a deficit. We're projecting for next year. You're going to get that full budget package next week, and I'm inviting all of you to attend the August 27th workshop for the governing board to discuss the adopted budget. New monies have been coming in through the state. That's very good. We're looking at a better budget situation than we had last year, and so we're very pleased with that. So you'll be getting that information, and I think that that will also help address part of the gap, making sure we have resources for the services that we provide. So what are we looking ahead to do? Your governing board also takes student success and campus climate very seriously. And you're going to see the second bullet there. They're going to be conducting listening tours. And the first listening tour is August 27th. A full calendar with the dates, where they will be, and the programs that will be highlighted will be available to you on Monday. And everyone is invited to a listening tour. They'll be happening throughout the year, so we encourage you to come and meet your governing board members, share with them your thoughts and ideas. We are also going to have a Student Success Summit. That's the first bullet. It will be in October. The governing board will be participating. They are actually hosting this summit, and it's an opportunity for a full district-wide dialogue on what we're doing that works to achieve student success and what we can do to improve. We're also concerned about our students being able to actively enter the workforce with a living wage. We will be conducting again this year a CTE summit. You'll recall 2 years ago we had one. We'll be doing that again. And big ticket item this year, accreditation. Next year, when I stand here, I will have a picture of the visiting team that will be analyzing us in our self-study. So folks, we're writing that self-study right now. Kudos to Mix DeVega and Rebecca Wilniewicz, who have been leading the charge. We have got lots of groups working. They're filling out the templates. We're getting those rough drafts put together. Ladies and gentlemen, in January, you're going to see the first set of drafts coming out. We need your participation to read, critique, and we'll be refining and editing those drafts, getting the final draft in next year. And finally, I will be hosting some open office hours and touring the campus as well to assure that I have not just the regular venues when I visit the schools and the centers, but also some special opportunities to get out, meet and greet, and talk to you about student success. It's our focus, it's our mission, and I know we can achieve our goals. Ladies and gentlemen, my time is done because we want to move to what we have not done perhaps ever in the history of Southwestern, and that is with all of us in the room. We want to recognize the fine faculty, classified professionals, and managers, and we have a whole series of recognition, and we would now like to turn our time to recognizing what you do to help our students and help this college. Thank you very much, Southwestern.
Thank you, Madam President. As you noted, we've got a variety of awards today for different categories, recognizing the people that really make the difference here on campus. And it is something new, so as we go through these programs, if you're a person who's being honored, your name is going to be called, we're going to ask you to make your way up here. When we get to the service award portion, the Years of Service Awards, Mr. Marvin Castillo will explain again some specifics so we don't have the three students moments and so forth. But I also encourage you, and I realize that you know that you're receiving awards, but still, we want to create a certain atmosphere of excitement. So when your name is called, you should do, me, and perhaps a Sally Fields moment, things like that. All that would be good. So we need to sort of liven it up a little bit. So with that, the very first awards we're going to have are for the classified employees, and I would like to invite the very distinguished Mr. Andre Harris, President.
All right, good morning. All right, before I get started, does anybody know this t-shirt, where is it from? Somebody asked me, like, is that a Jerry curl? I was like, wow. Yes, it is, but you totally missed the whole intent of my whole shirt. Definitely let your soul glow for real, so. Good morning. Good morning. Okay. All right, so I'll be actually acknowledging our employee reporters for the last 4 quarters. So when they come up, give them a round of applause and understand that to be an employee reporter, you get a certain little prestigious, honors and things like a parking spot, a sandwich named after yourself, about mine. And definitely the most important part is they're part of a fraternity that, this college been here 50 years, 43, whatever. So to be on this list is great. So just shameless plug, I'm on the list too. So if we can have the first person, Eileen Zaworski from the School of Arts and Communication from July to September 2013. All right. Next, Ms. Shelley Carvajal, Benedict, from October to December 2013. All right. This guy I call all the time. Y'all know him. I know him as Big E. Y'all know him as Efren Barrera from Human Resources. All right, last one, and this is a little tidbit you probably don't know. Before I was reclassed to a civil coordinator, there was only 2 male acting secretaries at Southwestern College, now there's only 1. His name is Jose Islas, from the School of Mathematics, Science and Engineering, from April to June 2014. I guess I will be accepting this award on the hand. So, again, thank you, and you know what, Dr. Nish? You got classified support with regards to the upcoming year and getting our students out there, we're behind you. So CSEA folks, do what we do best. Hold it down. Thank you.
Thank you, President Harris. The next group of awards are faculty awards. And I would like to invite up the very distinguished Professor Patty Flores-Charter.
Morning. I'm honored to represent our part-time and full-time faculty in announcing the faculty awards for 2013-14. And Andre, you're rocking those Nikes. First, we have the Teaching Excellence full-time faculty, goes to Dr. Nuna Baki. School of Mathematics, Science, and Engineering. Next, Teaching Excellence part-time. This goes to Jessica Jetta Posey. School of Language and Literature. Next, we have Professional Leadership, full-time. This goes to Rebecca Woolmuller. School of Arts and Communication. The Professional Leadership part-time faculty goes to Lisette Herrera. School of Social Science, Business, and Humanities. Team Faculty Excellence. Losing my vision here. Goes to David Ramirez, Puente Project. Team Faculty Excellence, Joyce Bayless, Puente Project.
Thank you, Professor Forrester. The next group of awards, we have a very special person. She represents the Bronx every day in National City and for the district. I would like to invite up Dean Chris Perry.
John, you didn't need to tell everybody I was from the Bronx. As soon as I open my mouth, most people know. Well, it is my honor to recognize some of my colleagues on their achievements this year. This is only the second year that we've been recognizing administrators, and I too will be like Andre with a shameless plug, and the recipient of one of those awards myself. And besides rocking Nikes, I'd like to see him rock these. Well, with the Administrators Awards this year, it's my honor to recognize as our distinguished administrator, Ms. Kathy McJanet. Kathy is the director of our Nursing and Health Occupations program. The next award is for our emerging leader, Dr. Ming Staveda. Dr. Staveda is the Dean of the School of Continuing Education, Economic and Workforce Development, and Instructional Support Services. And finally, our Team Jaguar Award. This year was given to the team that worked on the Elysian project, and we have Dean B. Zamora. Dean is the Dean of Counseling and Matriculation. We also recognize on this team Dr. Ben Seabury. He is no longer here at Southwestern College. We will make sure we send him his award. We also have, as the Team Jaguar Award winner, Dr. Ming Stanega. And finally, part of the team is Everett Garnick. Is Everett here? Oh, he's on vacation. He needed a break after all that team activity. Thank you very much. Congratulations.
Thank you, Dean Perry. Next up, we have another individual whose uniqueness I need not highlight or share. At yesterday's rehearsal, I had the role play for Chief Cash. So this is my Chief Cash look. So I would like to invite Southwestern College's Chief of Police, Michael Cash, who will present the Police Commendation Awards.
Before we get started, first I'd like to think how this award came about was from our governing board. Day one, they stressed community policing, students first. Then I had to meet the president. Community policing, students first. I got the message. We had several incidents that had occurred since I've been here where our employees had to act to protect others and to make sure there was safety on the campus. When those situations took place, I got a lot of emails from a lot of our employees saying, we're out there, we've got our eyes open, we're doing things, people need to be recognized. This is one of those few awards that came about because of you. You stepped up and said, we need to be recognized for the things that we do. Today we're going to present awards to two individuals that put their safety on the line to protect others within the district. I'm going to call one at a time. Professor Nira Clark, come up please. I want to read what happened. On Thursday, October 24th, 2013, Nira Clark had finished teaching and was returning to her office. As she approached her locked room, she looked through the window and observed an unknown female subject walking around inside. Nira entered and confronted the subject, who had a screwdriver in one hand and her wallet in the other. She saw her open purse on the desk and demanded the return of her wallet. The subject threw down the wallet and attempted to push past Nira to exit the room. Nira used her cell phone called police regarding the incident as the suspect tried to flee. Placing her safety at risk, Nira grabbed the suspect and attempted to keep her at the location until police arrived. The two began to struggle as Nira yelled for assistance. The subject pulled out a canister of mace and sprayed the substance in the face of Nira. Incapacitated and affected by the mace, Nira continued to struggle with the suspect, fearing the female would escape and possibly hurt others. Students and staff responded to Nira's calls for help, surrounded this female suspect until police arrived and we took her into custody. Nira quickly recovered from the attack. The female suspect was later found to have forced entry into other offices on campus and had a long criminal record of similar violent offenses. Nira is awarded the Southwestern College Police Department Citizen of the Year Courage Award for her bravery, quick actions, and commitment to ensuring the safety of fellow employees and students from a violent and habitual criminal on the campus. And our next recipient, hopefully I can say the name correctly, Thelma Loranis Correra. On Friday, May 10, 2013, Thelma observed a male and a female couple arguing outside the Southwestern College Otay Mesa Higher Education Center. The female was identified as a student within the nursing program, and the male was her estranged husband. As the female attempted to walk away, the male grabbed her and struck her in the face. She pulled away and ran towards the center, yelling for help as the male chased her into the interior of the campus. The female ran up a flight of stairs and back down and tried to escape the pursuing male. Thelma knows the situation and directed the female into an open classroom. Placing her own safety at risk, Thelma closed and locked the door with the female inside and secured her. She directed others to call the police. The assailant saw Thelma's actions and decided to attempt to leave the premises. Officers arrived and took him into custody. The female, a Southwestern college student, was later found to have been held against her will and assaulted for several previous days before escaping from her captor. At the hospital, during her examination, medical staff documented several bruises she had received from repeated beatings at the hands of her husband. The suspect is currently facing a long prison sentencing for his actions. Thelma is awarded the Southwestern College Police Department Citizen of the Year Courage Award for her dedication to duty, quick actions, and commitment to ensuring the safety of fellow employees and students from a violent threat to the campus.
Thank you, Chief Cash. It's interesting that the story about Professor Clark has already entered the lore of the campus. When I came on campus, I was told of the story, and I was also sort of warned and said, be careful. She is not going to let you get away. So the next part of the service is going to be the Years of Service Awards. We're going to be doing them in groups. We're going to have the folks gather and move across the stage as their names are read. And I would like to introduce the highly regarded Director of Human Resources, Mr. Marvin Castillo, who will be reading the names. Marvin, please approach. Marvin will go over the instructions in a little more detail, but President Nish will be here to shake hands. My able staff, Desiree Clark and Elsa Van, will be handing out the actual certificates and service pins, and Maggie Croft will be making sure you stay in line. So, Marvin.
Thank you, John. Now comes the fun part of trying to herd everybody in order. As you members of each service award group, we'll have a room monitor or a row monitor escort you to the side of the stage, and then you'll wait till your name is called, and then you'll be escorted across, and then you'll go to the back, and we're going to have you congregate in the back by group for a picture. So this will be really special. In 2009, when our first group of employees were hired, President Obama was the first African-American president elected to the United States of America. We said goodbye to Michael Jackson, Walter Cronkite, and Patrick Swayze. Tiger Woods scandalized the golf community and probably his neighborhood. The popular movies of that year were Avatar, the new Star Trek, The Blind Side, and The New Moon. And the #1 hit on the music charts was by the Black Eyed Peas. Our 5-year service award recipients are Roderick Curry, Alfredo Fara, Marcela Gutierrez, Dr. Martin Meadows, Eduardo Medina, Marisol Natividad, Angela Rock, Timothy Ross, Sergeant Robert Sanchez, and Romel Vasquez. Our 10-year service award recipients. Now, if we could have our 10-year employees make their way to the side of the stage. In 2004, Facebook launched, but we said goodbye to this hit sitcom Friends. Massachusetts became the first state in the nation to legalize same-sex marriage. The box office hits included Dodgeball, Anchorman, Mean Girls, and the third movie of the Harry Potter series, The Prisoner of Azkaban. And here's what we were listening to, various songs during that period. The 10-year recipients are Linda McDonald, Jorge Rojas, the next group is our largest group of service recipients, the 15-year group. Well, let's see what was popular in 1999. The Sopranos began its hit series on HBO. President Clinton was not impeached. The Euro made its debut. At the movies, we were watching and finding out what a prequel is, and that is Star Wars 1 was released. The Matrix took us into the future, and Austin Powers brought us to the past. Cher was on her first of 37 goodbye tours. Now our recipients. Maria Avalon, Nuna Lucky, Carlos Reyes, Maya Block, Lauren Clark, Richard Fielding, Mary Holmes, Walt Justice, Allison McCarthy, Araceli Moreno, Jeff Mellon, Don Perez, Margarita Reyes, Mimi Rasky, Jesse Reyes, Yolanda Logan Richards, Yolanda Rocha, Gunnar Jolie, Stephen Tadlock, Alejandra Rojas-Lacey, Luis Velasco, Ursula Williams, Rebecca Molina, and Judy Moore. Now our 20-year service award recipients. When you were new employees, NAFTA was just established. Nelson Mandela was elected president of South Africa. We said goodbye to President Nixon, Kurt Cobain, and welcomed Justin Bieber into the world. AOL was created, making the internet accessible to the world. Dumb and Dumber, The Lion King, and Forrest Gump were the big hit movies. Now for our 20-year recipients, Zadie Barrera, Victor Castillo, Carol Wiley. Now we're getting to the long years of service. This next group is the 25 years recipients. We're having to really dig back into the future. The first George Bush was elected 25 years ago. Nintendo releases Game Boy, creating millions of video game addicts. Walmart opened its first Sam's Club. The Berlin Wall falls, ending the Cold War. At the movies, Sally and Harry have their famous scene in the diner. Indiana Jones is on his last crusade. The Little Mermaid wows the kids, and Robin Williams leads the Dead Poet Society. 25 years of service. And Paul Thomas. Paul Johnson. Yolanda Ochoa. Gloria Angelina. Rosana Rocha. Hector Reyes. And Janelle Reese. Now we're talking old school with our 30-year service award recipients. Just as old school as a minivan which Chrysler introduced for the first time, Ronald Reagan is re-elected as president. Scientists discovered AIDS. The Mac personal computer debuts. At the movies we were watching Footloose, Ghostbusters, The Terminator, and The Karate Kid. 30 years of service. Cecilia Alvarez. Bob Lincoln. Thelma Lawrence Bahia. Greg Moore. Our last group of employees I'd like to recognize have been at this institution for 35 years. 35 years. Margaret Thatcher becomes the first female Prime Minister of Britain. McDonald's creates the Happy Meal, saving millions of parents on the go. Michael Jackson releases Off the Wall. That was his first of many platinum albums that he released in the US. ESPN is launched, creating sports addicts around the United States and the world. At the movies, Aliens scared us. Kramer and Kramer talked about a divorce. And Mel Gibson first into the scene with his first of Mad Max movies. Our 35-year recipients, Rose Williams. Second recipient of 35-year award, not here, is Bertha Govea.
Thank you, Mr. Castillo. Next up, we have the Organizational Leadership Academy Certificates of Completion. And I would like to invite up the highly regarded Professor Randy Beach.
Where's my hola? Hello, everybody. Before we get started, I would really like to ask Rose Williams to come back up. And let me tell you why. For those who don't know what the OLA is, the Organizational Leadership Academy, come on up here. About 2 years ago, a group of people got together and said, Southwestern College just is not investing enough in its own people. So we put together, working with faculty, staff, classified professionals, we put together a program to empower our own people to understand the college, to understand community colleges, to understand how we all work together. It's a program where the participants are required to fulfill 20 hours of workshops, a leadership profile inventory they're required to fill out, an entire dossier of information about themselves so that they learn what it means to be a leader and how to bring that back to the campus. I wanted Rose back up here because after 35 years, Rose said, I want to know more. I want to know how I can help this college. And I can't think of any better person to be a part of the first Organizational Leadership Academy than Rose. So Rose, congratulations. Now to the rest of our OLA graduates, you guys did a heck of a job. It really is a lot to ask for someone who's working full-time, and we're talking about part-time faculty, full-time faculty, classified professionals. We had some administrators attending our workshops as well. It's a lot to ask them to come in and do this extra work, but they do it because they want to know about the college, they want to help the college, they want to help our students, because that's what ultimately happens when we know more and are empowered. So our next recipient of OLA is also one of our instructors in the program, Dr. Chris Hayashi. Chris serves on the planning committee. Karina Holka, come on up, Karina. One of our faculty members as well. Dr. Sylvia Garcia Navarrete, another planner and one of our presenters. Jesse Reyes, come on up. I can't tell you how many hats Jesse wears in this campus, but he's one of our stars in the OLA Academy. Michael Spirer, is Michael here today? Michael's one of our part-time faculty members in the AJ department, and it's really been a pleasure to have so many part-time faculty involved in learning about the college and learning how to become leaders in their own right as well. Pablo Quintana, one of our part-time faculty members. Dr. Lena Rocha, come on up. Of course, and last but not least, no, not last, we have Jessica Whitson. Come on up, Jessica. ESL faculty, one of our academic senators, soon to be president of the college. Our final recipient, Veronica Carranza. Veronica must not be able to be here with us today, but if you could please join me in congratulating the first inaugural class of the Organizational Leadership Academy.
Thank you, Professor Reach. Next, I would like to ask all new employees who are classified, who are administrators, who are confidential, would you please stand up? All the new classified employees, just give a round of applause. Now we turn to a more serious topic. It is now the tenure roving ceremony. We need to adopt more of a visage of seriousness, a way to smile. We need to adopt a much more serious posture. And I would like to call the distinguished Franklin Post professor up. I would like to call the quite notable Academic Senate President, Patricia Flores Charter, and the highly regarded Professor Candace Tafoya von Schreiber. And they will, with a look of complete seriousness, engage in the tenure roving ceremony. Yes, very seriously. So will the newly tenured faculty members please approach?
About to be receiving tenure, Vernell Dunkley, Professor of Food Technology, Higher Education Center at Academy Center. Jamie O'Connor Flores, Professor of Nursing, Higher Education Center at Academy Center. Laura Galvan Estrada, librarian. Osvaldo Amezcua, counselor, student of counseling and personal development. Dana Moy, professor of dance, School of Arts and Communication. Brad Platt, professor of exercise science, School of exercise science, athletics and physical technology. Sylvia Nabalay, professor of mathematics, School of Math, Dr. Maria Jalaka Talapoli, professor of anthropology, School of Social Sciences, Business and Humanity. Congratulations to all of you.
We have gathered all of the newly enrolled in the line. No smiling. Let's give them another round of applause.